Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy. And today I thought we'd focus on some things you could do to make sure that you are never the target of a narcissist again. So when you first start to recover from narcissistic abuse, there's always this terrifying fear of, what if I come across another narcissist? What if I date another narcissist? What if I have to work under another narcissist or have other coworkers that are narcissists? What if I become friends with other narcissists? There's always that fear of any type of dynamic or relationship because of the abuse and the betrayal and the trauma that happens from these situations. So when you're in situations that revolve around people, your nervous system will go into a fight, flight, or freeze, which if the way your nervous system deals with this trauma is to go into a flight response, then you naturally will try to avoid all situations around people. So you may try to avoid deep relationships, you may avoid certain positions because you're afraid of having that boss. There will be an avoidance, and so then you'll miss out on things because of this fear of being around potential narcissists. And really it comes down to understanding the tactics of narcissists and learning how to protect yourself. So once you learn how to protect yourself and you learn the tactics, then you no longer have to fear, and you can feel empowered. And you no longer have to fear the narcissist targeting you. You will no longer be a target because you already are 2 steps ahead of them. So let's jump into that. So something we often talk about on this channel is how narcissists are shells of people that are energy vampires, energy suckers, whatever you want to call it, and they use other people for supply, negative and positive supply. When their life isn't going the way they want, or the victim they choose at the time isn't easily being controlled or manipulated, or shames them, or just does something that makes them feel bad, then they will look for that negative supply. They will look for that negative reaction. And then when they either need to reel someone back, or when maybe you have something that they want of you, or they feel like you could help them level up in life, then you will become that positive supply. Or maybe you're doing the things that they want you to do, then you're the positive supply. So for people that are newer to this, negative supply is when they're abusive and they're devaluing you, and then the positive supply is when they're love bombing you. So knowing this is beautiful because then you can break it down and make sure you don't do specific things so that you no longer become the target. So one of the first things is, don't give them any empathy or reaction to the things that they tell you. So every narcissist has a different validating seeking behavior. So they will seek validation in certain ways because remember, they're children stuck at the age they're abused at. And so some narcissists will choose the victim role, where I feel like a lot of narcissists will usually generally pick the victim role. And when you're a victim, then you don't have to take any responsibility. It's everyone else's fault. Now, when you are the victim, when the narcissist is the victim, they will purposely go to others and look for empathy from them. They're looking for a reaction to see, can I target this person? Are they an empathetic person? Because narcissists look for empathetic, caring, kind people because they don't have that inside them, and they want those people that have that. So that way they can suck it out of them because they're lacking. How you can test this is, if you're around someone and you're just meeting this person, maybe they're new in your life, whatever, and it always just seems like they're the victim. Like it's just everyone sucks and they're always having a bad day and it's everyone else's fault and it's not ever theirs. How you can gauge if they always play the victim is say, well, how do you think maybe you could have handled that situation better? Or you could say, maybe what do you think that you did wrong? You could ask something like that, depending on the situation, of course, and see how they respond. If they continue to blame everyone around them, then you're dealing with someone that has that narcissistic tendency to want to play the victim. And then what you do is you no longer, if you already have maybe, you don't show empathy. It's the gray rocking of just being like, oh, okay, not a big deal. Just shrugging your shoulders, not very interested, and they'll get fed up and bored. It's a validation-seeking behavior where they're trying to gather people to always be on their side. They can, the more people they gather, they can use them to their advantage of either smearing people's name or they could use it to their advantage of, when they're gaslighting their victim, they can say like, oh, well, all these people believe me, or, they pick out of the people that are empathetic and they then target them at the time. They're always kind of testing the waters to see what they could get away with, and they're testing who they could potentially use as new supply. So just immediately shut that down, and you don't even engage in the conversation. If you show complete disinterest, then they don't care to continue trying to make themselves a victim to you. The next one, which I think it's one of the most important ones, which is be firm in who you are. So here's the thing. This works with not even just narcissists, this works in general life with bullies or anything like that. But what that means is be confident in the things you say and who you are as a person, because you can't get knocked down, or people can't get to you or manipulate you if you're very firm in what you're about. Narcissists hate people that are very firm in who they are, because they're looking for people that they can easily manipulate. And those types of people usually are people pleasers, or people that like to overly help and who are confused about who they are, or they're in a moment in their life where they're at a weak spot. They're looking for those types of people. So if you're always firm in who you are, then the narcissist will be really uncomfortable around you. It's kind of similar with a dog that smells fear. If the narcissist can't smell the fear on you, then they just kind of walk away. So someone who's firm in who they are, they're very firm, and I wouldn't say firm in their reality, but they are very grounded in their reality, and they don't second guess themselves. And I mean, it's always natural to second guess yourself, but you know what I mean? People can't get to them and they're not easily swayed. And how you can get to this point is spend time with yourself. Spend time loving yourself, accepting who you are, the good and the bad, becoming confident in your decisions and trusting yourself. That's so important. And spend time, journaling, grounding yourself. Journaling is so important. Checking in with yourself daily, seeing how you feel, where you're at in life, what you like, what you dislike, all of those things, really just becoming your own best friend, self-parenting, self-soothing, all of that. That's what helps you to be more firm in who you are and having a really strong sense of self. And when you have a strong sense of self, no one can get to you, because you are confident in who you are and you feel good. And the narcissist is terrified of those people, because they can't, those people are the ones who see who the narcissists are for who they are. And not only that, but it cuts out the crave for the love bombing, because love bombing comes when we're lacking. If we are lacking in our lives and then someone love bombs us, we crave it so much. That's why we'll go into that trauma bond and get very addicted to that person. So if you don't crave and need the validation from others and you validate yourself, then that love bombing will not affect you the way it does when you're empty inside. When you're full inside, that love bombing will affect you less. And it's not like it's full bulletproof that you will never be affected. That's not what it is. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a person if you get tricked. It's that you're less likely to get tricked because your cup is more full. The next one is show no interest when they try to start fights. So this is when that negative supply comes in. This is when they're seeking you to feel bad to make themselves feel better. And so what's really important is they're going to try to push your buttons. They're going to try to trigger you. They're going to look for hurtful things to say to you. And in those moments, that's where the gray rocking comes in, and just being a stone cold rock and showing no reaction to anything. And this is really, really tough, especially if you're someone that's recovering from CPTSD or has CPTSD and you are really dysregulated. So that's before you even are able to deal with the narcissist. Definitely try to get re-regulated and deal with your traumas and your CPTSD. But in those moments when you feel more equipped, then that's when you have to battle it out and just give zero reaction to it. Again, look bored. They will try to make you feel guilty or shame you or make you take blame or accountability for things that are not your fault. They will try to gaslight you. They will try to manipulate that you appear to be this certain person when you're not. So never take blame for anything that they say. And if you're ever unsure, you can always go back and change your word. Let's say that you're not sure if you're doing those things, right? And let's say you're starting to feel guilty. You can stand firm in your opinion and say, and show no reaction and say, I don't agree. And then later on, if you really start to think about it, maybe you do realize that you were doing certain things and whatever it is, which most likely you're not. You're most likely not. You could always change your mind. Worst case scenario, if you're someone that you're scared of being wrong or you have a lot of guilt, but at least in that moment you're firm where you're at and they're not getting any reaction from you, and you can think about it later if you need to. But in that moment, it's so important that you just stand firm again, because that's what's really important, is stand firm and show little care to the negative things that they're saying, even if it's so hurtful and it's so mean. You can always walk away. You can always walk away. Or you just stone cold face nothing. And eventually the tantrum will die out and they will go away. And they won't want to do those things again, because then it's embarrassing because you're not showing any reaction and they're throwing a tantrum, and now they have to sit with that shame because they didn't get what they had wanted, which was to make you feel bad. So they're less likely to do it again. If you really want, you could even keep it as blunt as possible. Say, I'm not interested in this conversation, and peace out. So when they're trying to start fights, there's no reason to challenge them, because there's no point. Even if you try to prove them wrong, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. They will gaslight the shit out of you, or they will make you feel bad for maybe trying to challenge them or prove them wrong. And even if you do prove them wrong and you have the proof, they still will never be like, oh, you're right, I did, that's messed up, or whatever. They will say, I didn't say that, or you are just trying to start trouble, or they never take that accountability. So there's no point in even trying to fight with them to begin with. It's a waste of energy and breath. The next one is enforce boundaries. You may notice that when you try to set a boundary, a narcissist will not respect it. 100%. I have dealt with this so much where I have set a boundary and it was disrespected time and time again. So here's the thing. It's not that when you set a boundary that they're going to abide by those boundaries. It's about what happens when they disrespect that boundary. That's where people go wrong often. There needs to be a consequence. What is the consequence when they do? Because they 100% will disrespect your boundaries. What's the consequence of what happens when they disrespect those boundaries? Because that will determine so much about how a narcissist will treat you. So if you're a man of your word or a woman of your word, whatever, then they feel threatened by that because you're not easily swayed. And they are not one that likes to deal with consequences. They like to get away with what they can get away with, and they will keep pushing the bounds. So I have a lot of videos on boundaries, which I highly would recommend you check out, because I talk about how to enforce boundaries and how to have them. But when you have a consequence to a boundary, that means that you are removing yourself from the situation. You are taking something away. Something is happening. They immediately feel shame, and then they don't want to mess with you anymore because you enforce things. They don't like that. They like people that they can push around. So if you enforce something, they then feel like scared. They can be very scared and feel uncomfortable because you can expose them, or you can harm their ability to get supply. So they don't want to mess with those people that enforce those boundaries. So definitely enforce your boundaries and be firm in them. And then the last one, don't believe what they say. Please do not believe what they say. It doesn't even matter whether it's factual or not. Like, you just don't want to take in what a narcissist says, because once you start to credit them, then that's when you will start to potentially believe them, and then your walls will start to come down, and then you will not be firm in your boundaries or firm in yourself, because they will, go at you like a jackhammer, and they will keep drilling at you until they get to the center and the core, and they can hurt you. So whatever the narcissist says, it usually is twisted in some form, or they're trying to create trouble, or whatever it is. But whatever it is, when they're coming at you and they're trying to sell you some BS, remind yourself, this is not credible. They're always looking for attention. They're always over-exaggerating. They're always lying. And don't believe them. Or just see it as maybe it's a little chihuahua just kind of barking, and then just move on with your day. Because here's the thing, the minute you take what they say as credible is the minute they take you and they put you in their game of chess. And then you become a pawn in their game, and they move you around, they move all the pieces around, whatever. You don't want that. You don't want to be a pawn. So the first thing is just don't take whatever they say, and this is where being firm in yourself and your reality. And it's really, really hard when the narcissist is just targeting you or trying to target you and pushing your buttons. But it's so important taking those deep breaths, grounding yourself, and using healthier outlets. So here are 5 ways to help yourself to not be a target to the narcissist. So what do you guys think? Leave it on the comments below. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.